Hello, World of Tank Blitzers, it's Littlefinger. Hey, doing a full tank review on the Lycan. This is a Tier 7 heavy tank, Hybrid Nation. It's part of the event for Halloween 2019. You can see it here in our outdoor garage with pumpkins and all kinds of cool stuff. This is a great looking tank, and so far it has played very well for me. I am really enjoying this tank. Think along the lines of an IS. We'll get into that here in a second. But how do you get this tank? So obviously there's an event going on. This tank sits at level 45. You can see it there. You're not going to be able to get to level 45 without spending some money, unfortunately. However, you can get the Nightmare here at stage 5, which they're bringing back the Stug with all its great armor and its dirt gun. So, you know, if you're a free-to-play type person, don't want to spend money, I understand it, I get it. You can get this tank. But if you do, you're going to have to buy the Folio Cypher, which is $10. It's going to jump you up 30 stages. So you're going to be almost there. It didn't take me much more to get to the Lycan. And then you're going to have to do the rewards and use the boosters in order to get up to level 45. So once you get there, let me just make one point out. You see here on the top right, the +1, the +5. All you have to do is click those once and you will use your gold. Be wary of that. I did it by mistake, and I hit the +1, then I hit the +5, and then I hit the +5 again. So I did advance a bunch of stages real quick, and I did not mean to. And yeah, it took my gold, obviously. There's no, are you sure you want to do this or anything like that? It just does it, okay? So back to the tank here. You've got some nice spaced armor on the sides. You're bringing in the introduction of the IS-3 pike nose, famous. Most importantly about this tank, 10 degrees of gun depression. Yes, you heard that right. It's got the gun depression of a T-29 on the tank of an IS or an IS-2. So real quick, just how I've got this set up. I'm running a gun rammer to get that damage per minute up. Our pen is already really good. As you can see here, we're at about 62 and on HE, so keep that in mind. You can certainly use that on most tanks if you've got shots into the rear. Defense system, improved optics, enhanced gun lane driver, enhanced armor, engine accelerator, and refined gun. Now let's take a quick look and compare these tanks and show something about the armor. Alright guys, here is blitzstars.com. Using the tank compare, got the Lycan there pulled up on the left, and you'll notice the IS and the IS-2. When you're looking at the firepower and the weapon handling, they're going to be very, very similar. So this Ripper gun that they're calling it is essentially a 122 millimeter gun with the same characteristics as the IS. So at 1767, we're kind of on the low end as far as damage per minute, but that's to be expected when you've got a tank with good armor, because you should be able to stay in the game a little bit longer due to being able to bounce shots. So what you need to learn today is how to use this tank effectively and bounce more shots, I guess. So we move down to weapon handling. You'll see the aim time there at 2.75 is kind of middle of the pack. The Tiger P is one of my favorite Tier 7 heavy tanks, which is why I put it next. The T-29 I put in there because obviously that tank is a beast hold down with 10 degrees of gun depression, and I think it's got like 270 for frontal armor. But keep that in mind when you're playing the Lycan. 10 degrees is huge. Like the IS-2 only has 5 degrees, so you can certainly get this on hills, hide that lower plate, and make that frontal armor even more effective. Speed is going to be about the same. 35 kilometers is the same for just about all of these heavy tanks. And so then just moving down here into miscellaneous and extras just to show hull armor, 100 on the front, 80 on the side, 60 on the back, and then turret armor, 120 on the front, 80 on the side, 60 on the back. So, you know, as far as the frontal armor goes, it's it's in line or better than just about all of these tanks except the Tiger P there, from the hull. And then the turret on the T-29 is 279. So that's why that thing is a beast. Hull down. But you can see this armor and then all of the jagged edges and everything. We'll pull up Armor Inspector and just talk about that right now. Alright guys, here we are in Armor Inspector. If you don't have this app, please go out and get it. It's really useful in looking at the armors on your tank. Now, we really haven't talked too much about pike nose. And the reason pike noses are good is because it's best when facing your tank. Now, we already said that the front hull of this tank is 100 millimeters, but the effectiveness, because it is sloped backwards, you can see a shot coming straight in. It's like it has to go through 175 millimeters. Now, I've got the Tiger P shooting at this tank, which has 200 mil of pen. Now, if you're angled sideways and you're looking at this tank like this, look what happens. It's now 127. So you're losing your effectiveness of the armor by angling. So you always want to try to be straight on. This lower plate here is going to be your nemesis. You want to try to keep it hidden at all times, which is why you want to be up on a hill facing down. And you see how that turns red? That's now over 200 mil of effective armor, and that's the best case scenario here you can really get in this tank. Some of the points on the top here are penetrable, so make sure you're rocking back and forth. You're never stationary. Some interesting things here. If I go over to look at the spaced armor, you can see the mantlet around the gun there is considered spaced armor. You've got some spaced armor here in the tracks, and interestingly enough, these vents here on the back of the tank are considered spaced armor. And I hit a shot into the back of this yesterday, and it did 0 damage. So keep that in mind when you're aiming at this tank. All right, guys, let's jump on into the first game on Horstad. Why not, right? This is the Halloween event map, and it's been darkened, and they've added pumpkins and mushrooms and whatnot to make it a little bit more festive. So, as we mentioned here at the beginning of the review on this tank, 10 degrees of gun depression. Make sure you are putting that to use as much as possible. I mean, that is one of the best statistics on this tank. So you're going to want to find hills that you can get hull down and protect that lower plate. So this is one good location here, and you can see we have no problem aiming down there towards A. Anyone shooting at us can't even see that lower plate. They're going to see a lot of red from the hull being slanted even further backwards. Pike nose, some of you guys might not have made it up to the IS-3 and whatnot. You can see there, kind of a large aim time. You really need to be patient on the aim. I snapped that one in there, and we tracked him, and the rest of the team finished him off. Really where you want to be with this tank is up close and personal like that, so that you don't really have to worry about the aiming. So, big shot there from the SU-100Y. But back to the pike nose. A lot of you might not have made it up to, say, the IS-3, which is probably the first place you will encounter a pike nose. But, again, you want to keep it pointed at your target as much as possible. There is the SU-100Y. Now, cognizant of the fact that I am sitting on a hill, take a peek into town to make sure that there's nobody taking a look at me, and you'll notice that I am continuously rocking back and forth. The only time I am going to really stop rocking is when I'm taking a shot, to let that aim time. So we've got the M6 come through. We'll go ahead and throw one in there and then get on off this hill, because we are totally exposed up here. So you can see coming off the hill almost 40 kilometers per hour. Your average speed is going to be right in there at 35. And we're going to jump on down here into the river to hopefully get this kill shot. Sure enough, there's the kill shot. Take a shot from the opposing Lycan there. And I'm going to slow this down as we come around the corner, just so that you can see what this pike nose look like when it is hull down. Now obviously we can see the lower plate because he's too far forward. Get real lucky that that shot goes in between the hull and the turret. And but I do think that that's a good in-game shot of what that pike nose looks like if you can get it slanted even further back. Able to use that 10 degrees of gun depression. That's awfully nice. And with a high roll, he could finish me off here. Average damage 400. So being patient, waiting for him to shoot. As soon as I see him shoot, I pull up, but the team's taking him out. So that was a real quick game. We did 2,075 damage there, just pushed around and you know, kind of bullied with this heavy tank. So here's the second game on Yamato Harbor. And again, as I said before, I think this tank is going to certainly play much better up front and in the hills. So on Yamato Harbor, that obviously means we are going over here to the right. And look at this team. They're all lined up in that camping spot, and it's going to be an interesting game, to say the least. But anyway, we fast forwarded there just to get into position. T-150 sitting up in their camping spot, and we've got this P-43 coming around. I do wait as long as I feel like I can before he's going to move off this and get behind the hill, just to help that aim time just a little bit. Notice that we've got a tank pulling in behind me. And if you don't aim, you're going to miss, and you're going to miss bad like that one. So Churchill 7 coming through, and look at these three guys still sitting up here in the spawn camping spot. He's going to scatter them, so I'm not too worried about them. You can see they're all on the move now. Bulldog here, we're going to get that one shot in. So now he is pretty much a one shot. I'd have to have a really low roll not to finish him off with one shot. So we're going to make sure we get reloaded. Come on over. I don't mind taking one shot from him. Obviously he doesn't do much damage. That's 10% of my health to finish off a tank. So again, just keeping an eye on that Churchill. It's not going anywhere. We'll finish off the Comet there. P-43, he must be AFK. And I know that T-150 is still up there, and I'm assuming their SU is still up here as well. So again, if you don't aim, you're going to miss bad. But I did realize that I was going to probably get a shot, and I don't know if you saw that trail, but the T-150 took a shot and missed. So we'll be a little bit more careful here as we pull around the rock. Keeping an eye on that tank down there. And our IS is really going for it here. He's going to get the kill shot. Now I'm on a long reload here. And figure that Churchill, he's still occupied by two of our other tanks. So it's 2-on-2 over here. IS is pulled up way too far, and he gets taken out. So decision now, 2-on-2 game is which way do I go? And I see that the SU's pulling up over. Bad mistake, because we're going to finish him off. And now I can just rush this T-150. We've got a lower tier tank. He doesn't have gun depression. I'm below him. Really nothing for me to have to wait for help on here. Worst case, I give up one shot. And I'm telling you guys, what makes this tank fun is this 10 degrees of gun depression. So we finished there at 3,000 damage, 4 kills. And a good use of the tank in the hills, getting hull down as much as possible. All right, guys, Middleburg, top tier supremacy game, and yeah, I usually like to throw in a bottom tier game just so you can see how this tank is going to handle the bigger guns and the bigger armor. But in an effort to streamline things, get this video up today, I really didn't have any battles to show you. I've been primarily top tier in just about every single game I've played in this tank. Otherwise, some of the bottom tier games, play one or two, teams just fell apart. So I thought, this was a better representation of the tank and just how to play it. And the fact that you can't win every single game, but you can make decisions on doing more damage, having more kills, but maybe not, improving that win rate. So you can see here, our P43 pushed way too far. We were already outnumbered one tank up on the top hill here, and now we are down a tank. So it's 5-on-3 up top. It is 3 tanks down below to their 2 tanks. So really, it's a matter of how we survive up here and how much damage we can dish out. And with the fact that this tank has got such great gun depression, I've decided here just to roll on back off of the hill and use that gun depression as much as possible. That was a big shot right there that I missed. The tank stopped when I didn't think it was going to, and we hit the front of it and we bounced. And so now you can see that I am the only tank up top. So I'm backing around trying to get myself a little bit more time, get some help there, and we finish one off. Now this turns out to be my biggest mistake of the game. See, they've already got 2 caps, and while I think it was a great idea to go around the side, try to isolate some tanks, I'm out of the battle here for quite some time, and we've got this back to a 3-on-3 situation. And here come 2 tanks, right? So I'm getting back behind the hill so this P43 can't shoot me. Little did I realize that the better of the 2 players was the tank behind me shooting me. But as you can see, we're able to finish off the P43, and here we'll finish off the AC. But it did come with a price. My driver is dead. We're only going 20 kilometers per hour, and this damn IS is just sitting down here on the bottom of the hill. So what's gonna happen here. We're gonna end up losing this game by cap points. But they do spot up 990, 995, 1000. Can we go to instant replay on this? Because that was awfully close. But it ends up in a defeat. They get cap points. I do 2,800 damage, 4 kills, but we still lose. And honestly, guys, this game is always fought and won on the hill. Being in town, unless you've got just a massive amount of side scraping tanks, there's really no reason to be in tanks. Your big American heavies don't need to be in there. Your TDs don't need to be in there. You're much better off on the hill. But anyway, this is a really fun tank. And if you can get it for $10, I'm saying, well, really, if you can get 2 tanks for $10, I'm saying go for it. So grind out those levels, and be wary of those 2 buttons there, because they will start stealing your gold, I promise you. But anyway, get some videos up on the new game mode, which is completely awesome. Loving it. And I hope you're having fun. Thank you, Wargaming. You always do a great job with the Halloween event. And this year is certainly no different. So have fun out there. Stay safe. Get educated. Not fingered. Littlefinger out.